Good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 28th, and I am here for our collective reading for the week. I'm using the Lotus and Filagree casting board, not a sticker. Our casting backdrops originally started as boards before I merged into color and stickers. But anyway, we are using the Felt Tarot, which we still have on sale in the shop. So let's see what our overall energy is for the week. We have the Queen of Swords. So there may be some truths that are coming to light. Maybe you're being asked to speak your truth. Maybe you're finding yourself in this position this week of needing to be the one who just has to say things how it is. I always see the Queen of Swords as somebody who speaks while from the heart they are being pretty blunt and truthful, so basically you're going to have to walk your talk this week. Okay, and so then let's see what our overarching energy is. We have the jellyfish. And so the jellyfish, with that, our truth may sting. There might be some words that just need to be said again, unfortunately, the truth does hurt at points. The jellyfish also, it tells me that there's going to be some going with the flow energy of the currents and just knowing when the time is right to speak your words to power. I also think about, I know this isn't one of the jellyfish that is in my mind, but there's what I believe it's called the irukandji, and it's like the box jellyfish, and it's one of the smallest jellyfish in the world, and it's the deadliest. So understand that sometimes people may mistake our kindness for weakness, and then when we actually speak our truth to power, it stings more than the person was probably prepared for. So that might be the energy this week. Let's bring in some tarot tiles to get this conversation going. We have the Four of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, Page of Cups, and then the Seven of Cups. That's funny. I find it interesting when it's like 4, 4, and then cups and cups. So what may have brought us to this position of needing to just finally speak what's been on our minds? Maybe there's this feeling of, well, I just can't hold it in anymore. I've observed, I've seen everything that's been going on, and now, I'm not going to be able to live with myself if I don't speak this to power. You came from a restful period where there was some unexpected truths that happened, some unexpected new information. Sometimes downtime allows us the time to gather new information, and that's bringing this to light. And you're saying, look, I could go with the flow, but going with the flow is what has got us into these issues. So now we need to speak what's really in our heart and our mind. And it's a very bringing truth to light, right? And going forward, there's going to be a conservation of our resources needed as more options show themselves. I like to bring in Lenormand at this point. We have the stork. And the whip. And then I'm going to just put the bottom ones down. We have 3. We've got crossroads, mice, and stars. Okay, so let's get back into the reading. This is my daily mixture is what I've called this one throughout the years, and it's the one that like has really, it's what started tarot casting for me. And the center focus, like I said, is that Queen of Swords. And I have to be honest, every time I see that it's a royal, I think about how is this for collective. For me, the Queen of Swords is just that emboldened truth. She's not they are not the like the mastermind that the King of Swords is, but they are the ones that are like the watery part of air, right? And so when you think about that, it's like the watery part of air is steam, it's the clouds, it's the thing that brings the rain that maybe calms down the fires that have been brewing, the words that need to be said. And at first, like I said with this jellyfish, they could sting, but as long as you stay on top of it, on top of a jelly, you're not going to get stung. It's when you get down into the tentacles, right? And so the Queen of Swords says, look, these are just truths. They are not debatable. This is what's going on, and however you take them, that's on you. And that could be the weather of that the reading. So then you get into the way that these tarot tiles pair with this Lenormand. It's saying what has brought us to this point is like this restful period. Maybe there's been some retreat, and then being able to uncover the things that really are at the creative heart of things. Like we're looking for those unexpected shifts because we're so tired and we've been moving toward this for a long time. The stork tells us we've been migrating to this position of no longer being able to hold back. And sometimes speaking our truth to power may mean that we hurt people that we love unintentionally. You can only speak from your core and from your knowledge, and how somebody else takes that is kind of on them. And then going forward, it shows that truth may bring about a bunch of back and forth, right? Like we have the 4 of Pentacles with that 7 of Swords, and it's really saying, look, like you might need to buckle down a little bit. There's going to be so many choices and opportunities and things going on, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth. It's this tug of war, right? And the 4 of Pentacles has us all going, I don't know what to do. And then the 7 of Cups is coming underneath, just supporting that 4 of Pentacles, being like, look, our cups are always going to be full. We just need to conserve. And we're going to have to go back and forth a little bit on like weighing the options, right? And then the underneath part of this, and I see this like the Lenormand at the bottom, becomes the action steps, becomes that point of like, look, we're at a crossroads. There's a lot of stuff gnawing away at us. There's a lot of little problems that have come to light. And if you've been a part of my world for a while, you know that when the mice come up like that, I'm saying, well, there was cracks in the foundation for them to get in the beginning. And so with that, this crossroads has brought us to show us all the problems, and the dismantling is not always easy, but the stars show me that this is part of kind of where we've been heading for a while. This has been our proverbial prophecy, right? And there's a way to stay connected and still, this can also point to the internet and messages that we are being connected with each other. And just, if you want, like with this reading too, you can also bring these and read it almost as a 5-card chain like this. And it goes, okay, well, the stork says we've been getting to this crossroads for a while. We've been migrating here. The mice is showing all the little problems that have shown up, and what do we do when we find the problem? Like say this was a cancer diagnosis or something like that. We now have to use the tools at our disposal in order to get it back, right? Like whip it back into it and just learn how to eradicate this, And so the problems showing themselves is no longer undercover. And that's where the truth is bringing to light, is all these little problems. So going forward, we can say this has been where we've been headed all along. And it's not that it's going to be resolved, because now the whip with this opens up the discussion. and there's always going to be back and forth, right? So I don't want to leave you hanging. I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know what you're going through this week, but I do want to give you some points to ponder. Some little are my word dice, and you could also, just make your own. You could get a set of dice and write some words on it, and just give us some points for the week. Build, hydrate, trust, and leave. Okay. So, build. Think about what it is that you're building. What does that look like? It could be something physically that you're making with your hands, or it could be the life that you're trying to build for yourself. What we're building as a community. I feel like things are getting more community focused. So what can you do to help build that? Hydrate. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember that you are basically just a plant with deep emotions. We need sun, we need water, and the right conditions, right? So just hydrate yourself. When things start to feel really out of sorts, maybe you just need a big glass of water, right? Trust this process. I know that speaking the truth sometimes, at least when I say it, I wish I could take it back, because I look at the person who I might have hurt and I go, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to say that, but I did because it was my truth. So I have to trust that it needed to be said, and the fallout is going to be the fallout, right? And then leave. Know when it's time to leave a situation. Know when you've outgrown it. It's always your choice to stay or leave. Sometimes, like that, there is a caveat there, but for the sake of this reading, you can leave the situation. And if you can't physically leave the situation, you can just kind of leave the room, check out mentally, and just leave the conversation, right? So again, like I said, I don't know what you're dealing with this week. I wish you amazing amounts of going with the flowness, and also knowing that your truth is not something that needs to be hidden anymore. Like, it's time to speak out and speak for what you know in your heart is the right thing. So I will be here next Tuesday with our collective reading. And we only have a couple more days left of my Adventures in Tarot casting for the month of October. So if you've been joining me for those, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Join me on Patreon. Join me on Instagram, and all the places. And I will see you here next week. I hope you have a good one. Thank you. Bye.